Do not try to go toe-to-toe with your competition. I work with a lot of decision makers who go and survey the competitive battlefield out in front of them, and they come back a little bit fatigued and frustrated because what they see are competitors that are bigger, have more market share, have more momentum, have more money. They're not going to win. They're going to lose. The strategy here is that you have to find unconventional ways to win. Do not go toe to toe. The theme came up in a recent conversation that I had with Dr. Chris Boyhan, and I thought I'd share it here. You'll probably pick up a few nuggets also about where I come from and why I love an underdog.
I think is an interesting thesis, and it comes up a lot in my work right now, quite frankly, is that always looking for the edge. What is that competitive edge that we can find? And it is not that we have to go toe-to-toe with a competitor, but if I can find a unique angle to get into, and maybe that strikes all the way back to the way that Dad farmed, which is you are not going to win by spending a lot of money on farm equipment. We had to find things that were cheap and broken and then go find an edge. The edge was fixing them and making them valuable. That was our edge. I think the same applies in the competitive, in the athletics, which is, you may not have the best athletes, but if we have the best play design or the best scheme or the best teamwork or the best pace or cadence, or we read the defense better, that's where we start finding the edge. And so
both Chris and I played with some of the great ones, but they didn't have the strength or the speed. They weren't the Goliaths. Instead, they were the ones who were more clever, more creative, and they worked hard to get where they are. They were always overlooked, and they went on to be in the NFL Hall of Fame, to win an NBA World Championship, and now lead top 20 collegiate football programs and top 20 collegiate basketball programs.
What it takes to actually make those achievements. So I think that's quite fair. I think there's another dimension to it as well, which I realize is that the gap, and I think this builds on something that you're alluding to, which is the gap between great and good isn't that far sometimes, meaning that some of those people that you played with or I played with, et cetera, we were on the same field together. They were special, but if you put in the work, you can make that leap also from good to great. It's not unachievable. Like when you're actually standing side by side with them, you're like, this is attainable. I think we can get there. This is just, studying a little bit harder, working a little bit harder, learning the plays, understand where the angles are, being a little bit more intuitive. There's, where can we find the edge that gets you there? And that's something.
When you don't have blazing speed or brute strength, you have to find ways to win that are unconventional. And this oftentimes means rooting down into the intangibles. It's about how you perceive, react, and think about the problems before you. It's about how you make decisions under pressure. So a lot of times when I'm working with decision makers, this is expressly what we're trying to improve, which is how do we build the intangibles? How do we see things differently? How do we get a team to think about the problems and move together with trust? It's about how we curate the environment to encourage the unconventional, the differentiated, the new, the never been tried before. That's where we find the way to win. When you can get the intangibles to really hum, you can fight like an underdog and win. So this is your assignment for today. Again, we're trying to provoke ahas, which are how well are you curating an environment which really strengthens your intangibles. If you're doing this well, you'll win.
So, I think that's one of those things that I hope comes through to my kids and the people that I work with, my clients that work with, is that we can compete at a higher level. We're closer than we think if we find the edge. We won't go to toe-to-toe. Do not waste your energy going toe-to-toe. But if we find an angle, we can compete.
That's all for now. I look forward to talking to you soon.